In this video, we're going to talk about 12 different risk factors that we can modify that may help to prevent or at least delay 40% of all dementia cases. Hey everyone, welcome to the front row. Ed DeBoo, physical therapist out of Integrated Physical Therapy in Bellingham, Washington. So if you've been to the channel before, you know that I talk a lot about my mom. She's having some health problems as she's getting older. She's now 88 years old, and both my parents are from India, so they have relocated back to India even though I live in the US at this point in time. So it's challenging because I can't be with my folks at this point. However, my mom is starting to develop mild dementia, and it's challenging for everyone around her, especially for my dad, who is the primary caregiver. On my mom's side of the family, her sister has dementia, as well as another brother who had some pretty significant cognitive changes as he got older. If you look at the literature, there is a hereditary association more from the mom in terms of passing that on as far as dementia and cognitive changes are concerned. So what does that mean for me, right? I'm 52 years old, and I'm very aware of the choices and lifestyle decisions that I make now are going to affect me in my 80 and 90-year-old self. In this video, we're going to talk about 12 different lifestyle modifications that we can make, or at least try to improve on, that would have a significant effect on our chances of getting dementia. It doesn't matter how old you are either. You could be 30, 40, 50, you could be 75 or 80 and watching this. It's never too late to try to make some changes to at least prevent or maybe even delay the onset of cognitive decline and dementia. So let's get started. Make sure you continue watching to the end because number 12 was very surprising to me. Some of the other ones are a bit more common sense and I could understand the relationship, but number 12 was actually pretty significant and I hadn't made that connection. Number 1, higher educational levels, both as an adolescent and lifelong learning as adults. So I'm a parent of 3 kids. My older 2 boys are in college now, and it's almost like if we can have early education, it's almost like it protects our brain from cognitive decline as we get older. As adults, it's important that we continue lifelong learning, problem-solving skills, basically staying active. It's stuff we've all heard before. If we can learn a new instrument, we can travel, have new experiences, things to kind of activate and stimulate ourselves cognitively. Number 2, limit your chance of a traumatic brain injury. If we are unfortunate enough to have a traumatic brain injury, there's a strong likelihood that as you get older, think about football players who take repeated hits and concussions to develop cognitive changes and possibly even dementia as you get older. So if you have a sport or activity that has the potential, not pickleball, but has the potential for a head injury, please be protected. Riding a motorcycle, skiing, mountain biking, make sure you have a helmet on at the very least to try to protect this head of yours. The next one is hypertension. So if you have high blood pressure, over 130 millimeters, even in midlife, right around that 50-year-old range, it can have a significant impact as you get older. Talk to your doctor, maybe you need to be on a diuretic, maybe you need to modify your diet. There's a lot of factors that go into hypertension. It's a good idea to take your blood pressure at home, especially if you are on that border of hypertensive. If you do struggle with hypertension, you really have to watch your sodium intake. What's the recommended daily limit for sodium if you have hypertension? It's about 1,500 milligrams, which is about a teaspoon of salt a day. In a quarter teaspoon of this Costco Himalayan pink salt, there's over 460 milligrams of sodium. So we're not talking about a lot of sodium before you meet your quota. Basically, anything that comes out of a box or is processed is going to have high levels of sodium. When you have an increased level of sodium in your diet, there's more sodium in your bloodstream, kidneys have to work harder, blood pressure goes up, you take a diuretic, helps your kidneys to function better, and we're in this little cycle here. And so yes, take the medication if you need to, but also try to take care of the things that might be contributing to the higher sodium in your bloodstream in the first place. The next one is one of my favorites, daily exercise. Yes, everyday exercise. And if you're a client of mine, you know that I'm going to ask you, how's your daily exercise routine? And I'll let you give me a couple excuses, and sometimes they're legit, but a lot of times too, we just have to get out there, and ideally it's 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise. Cleaning the house, activity, not really exercise. I'm talking about getting outside, walking, running, jogging, hiking, yoga, something where it's moderate to physical activities every single day. Remember, what's good for the body is good for the brain. So you go out for a brisk walk, preferably somewhere in nature. Not only are you helping your body, but you're also helping your brain as well. Next risk factor is if you are type 2 diabetic. So if you have trouble monitoring your blood sugars, once again, get a blood sugar kit at home, get an idea, get a handle on your diet, exercise, weight loss, all those things can affect. So if you have type 2 diabetes, do whatever you can to monitor your blood sugar levels and to control them and to bring them down, because once again, that is a risk factor for dementia. This next one's going to be a bit challenging for people, but it's excessive alcohol consumption. Now, what does excessive mean? Excessive is a broad term that can mean a lot of different things, but if you look at the literature, it's basically 21 units of alcohol per week. Just to give you an idea, a large glass of wine and maybe an IPA or something that has a little bit more alcohol in it is about 3 units. So you're looking at about 7 drinks a week at the high end. Anything over that would be considered excessive consumption of alcohol, which unfortunately is an associated factor in dementia. The next one is body weight. And one indicator, you've probably heard of BMI, body mass index. It's not a perfect system, but I'll put some links down below. There's a bunch of BMI calculators online that you just plug in your height and your weight, and it gives you a score as to where you should be. The normal range for BMI is about 18 to 25, and then you would be considered overweight if you're 25 to 30, and anything over 30 in terms of a BMI, you would be considered obese. The BMI is not perfect, however, and it sometimes skews the numbers based upon how tall you are. When I put my numbers in, I'm 6'2", 185, I come up with about a 24 BMI, which is just a breath away from being overweight if you look at those numbers. So it's not a perfect system, but it gives us an idea of where to start. What might be a better reference is the height to waist ratio. And what that is that you want to strive for your waist size being less than half of your height. So for example, I'm 6'2", so that's 74 inches. So I would want my waist to be at least 37 inches or preferably less. And that might be a better indicator of kind of where we're at. Maybe that combined with BMI gives you a good idea of your overall level of body mass index. Next one on tap is smoking. If you are smoking, you must stop. It's never too late to stop, by the way. Even secondhand smoke has been associated with memory loss and impaired cognitive function. So even if you're in a house and you're not smoking, but someone else unfortunately is smoking, that is a risk factor for obviously them and for you. Next we have depression. And depression is a very encompassing, complex phenomenon, but what tends to happen, there's both psychological components and physiological components, but either way, someone who is depressed is more likely to get dementia later on in life. Doing our work, being reflective, trying to dig down deep and figure out maybe what's going on, medication if you need to, counseling if you need to, please try to look into that and at least try to take steps in the right direction. The next one is social engagement, active social engagements throughout life. I know right now it's tough with COVID, but the good thing is COVID's not going to last forever. Isolation has been shown to be almost as deadly to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So loneliness and isolation, very challenging for our physiological and psychological self. I see that a lot in my elderly female clients because the majority of them, unfortunately, have outlived their husbands, and they maybe spend the last few years taking care of their husband, and then if and when their husband passes, oftentimes there's a great sense of loss that they feel. So isolation and loneliness is very challenging. Number 11 is air pollution. And now it's challenging because we oftentimes can't control the air we breathe when we're outside. However, there are a few things that we can do that might at least improve the air quality. If we exercise outside, be cognizant of the route you're taking. If you're going for a walk or a run, preferably go somewhere not on the main road where there's not a lot of car exhaust. You may want to consider an air purifier for the house or for the office if you spend a lot of time there. The kind you want is an HEPA. I'll put a link once again down below. Those tend to be the best in terms of purifying the air. Another thing which is a little challenging, but try to avoid brush fires like in the backyard or even campfires, even burning wood. Burning wood, unfortunately, gives out a lot of particles and a lot of smoke. Occasionally it's fine, but on a long-term basis, sometimes wood fires can be challenging. And number 12, and this is the one, like I said earlier, that kind of caught me by surprise, and that is hearing loss. So hearing loss usually typically starts in middle age, and if it goes uncorrected, it has a strong correlation to dementia as we get older. And so sometimes it's a little bit of a hassle going to the ear doctor, maybe it's just easier to kind of, If you're in your 50s and you're watching this, we must protect our hearing. My wife gives me all sorts of grief for wearing this, but when I'm out mowing the yard, I used to wear those little plugs, but not anymore. I've got these that really cancel out the sound and drown out that weed eater of the mower. If you found the video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, and ding, turn on your notifications so that you never miss another one of my videos. Hindsight's 20/20. When I look back on my mom's life, there are about 4 or 5 of those factors that she just, unfortunately, wasn't able to check that box. She didn't really believe in lifelong exercise. She was hypertensive. She had blood sugar issues, and I often wonder, had she taken care of that, who knows where she would be at now. Let me know how many of the 12 factors you're able to modify. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Growing older is a challenge. I understand that too. Elizabeth and I are both 52, and it's a conscious decision every single day to try to lead the life that we want to lead. We actually have a new membership site that we're starting, Live Well 50. I'll put a link down below if you're interested in kind of joining our community. We'll give you more information as we get closer to launching. Take care, good luck, until next time.